So this is a story about my former friend Kevin. I met him through school for people between 18 to 35 years of age when I wanted to become a sound engineer. This is very important to the story. Kevin liked music and was actually a decent singer, but lacked any form of self-awareness and couldn't take any constructive criticism whatsoever. With that being said, let's start from the beginning. When I first started at this school to become a sound engineer, we all sat down and said hello to each other, told a bit about ourselves, etc. etc. Then our music teacher asked us if we did anything fun during our summer vacation. Kevin was very eager to say something, so our teacher let him start. He said he went to Germany with his family and bought a ton of very cheap cigarettes. Our teacher asked him, well, how cheap? Kevin almost yelled out 10 euros per pack. Most of us laughed a bit and asked him if he knew what the exchange rate was. Kevin sat dumbfounded and asked, what's that? My teacher then asked, do you know what exchange rate means? Kevin of course said no. He was then told about currency and what the exchange rate is. The following conversation went more or less like this: Kevin, but the pack said 10, teacher, but it was another currency, you paid almost double the price. Kevin, but the pack said 10, how is that more than 40? Our local currency, teacher, because euros are a different currency than our own. Kevin, but it said 10. I don't understand. Fast forward 6 months. Every December our school set up a Christmas theater play for kindergartners to enjoy during the first week of that month. Totally free, made kids happy, let our musicians and sound engineers get some experience in. Fun week honestly. Anyway, we practiced this stuff from October until the week of the live shows. Kevin always wanted to be the lead actor, which means Santa. Kevin was a big guy and our school only had one costume for that part. When it was time to do costume testings, we found out that the big black belt for the Santa outfit did not fit Kevin at all. So when Kevin saw that, he flipped the F out. We were all yelled at. One of our guys had enough and told him lose 30 kilos in 3 days or figure something else out. Later that day our actors for the play had to practice their lines and some scenes. Kevin was pissed every time somebody took more than 0.5 seconds to react for their lines. Think Sharpay from High School Musical, that kind of diva. So he made himself very unpopular, very fast. The fun part about this is that even though he got pissed at others during practice, he was the person most notorious for forgetting his lines. The live shows. Every single one of us took it seriously. Even though it was a free show for children, we still wanted them to be happy. The show starts, everything runs smoothly. That is until Kevin walks on stage. 30 seconds in and he stares blankly at the other actors cause he forgot his lines. This continued for most of the show. You would think that it would be stage fright, right? Right? No. Kevin did this every single day throughout the entire week. Never bothered to read the script, never bothered to ask the others for advice. His excuse? I'm Santa, I'm the main lead, if you don't like me you can F off. Followed by hours of Facebook updates with nobody likes me, I'm a warrior of justice. Shout out to the real brothers. Etc. And I'm not done. This school was for musicians, sound engineers, camera guys, even game development. We all knew we had 4 years, taking classes, visit venues, concert halls, all the big boy stuff. But of course our regular classes were the usual thing. Now Kevin decided he knew better. Kevin didn't see this as a school. Kevin saw this as a place where he would sing, eat, shit, repeat. Through the 4 years he went there, Kevin participated in one class. 1 full-hour class. His excuse? I'm here to sing, not learn, deal with it. So of course we let him believe that. Finally me and my producer talked to him and said, look, you sit on an expensive chair in $1 million studio and stare at the screen. All you have to do is stay awake. So he went to class. Did he stay awake? Absolutely not. He fell asleep not once, not twice, but 3 times. After class was over we went out for a cigarette. I asked Kevin, you fell asleep 3 times, dude. How? His answer almost made me slap him in the face. This waste of air looked me in the eyes and said, the teachers doesn't have to be so hard on us. We are students, not African slaves. I asked him if he was serious and he said that he was, so I simply walked away. Later that day we had a big discussion about him thinking he could compare himself to African slaves. This turned into a big fight where Kevin dragged the entire school into it. Nobody sided with Kevin's slave theory, so he got the upper management to get a meeting with Kevin, me, and 2 others. The head of the school board told me apologize to Kevin or you won't leave my office. I told him that he would have a long day ahead of him, cause I didn't want to apologize for Kevin comparing himself to slave trading. After a 30-minute staring contest, he decided that me and the leader not backing down was dumb, and I should go back to class. I agreed and told him that football was on tonight. We both cheered for the New Orleans Saints. After this I met Kevin outside when I was smoking. He very humbly asked, can we talk? I cut myself with razors last night cause I was so mad. I asked him why on earth he would cut himself. Kevin looked at me and said, cause I read online that it's the popular thing to do when you are sad. I shook my head, called him an idiot but gave him a hug and said that all is forgiven. I did feel very bad since it actually cut himself. He had never done self-harm before or after that. Now, Kevin was a straight moron, no lying about that. But he always made the jobs harder for sound engineers. To paint you a picture, you have to adjust all the sound levels to create a nice mix as the end result. Does the drums drown everything out? Turn it down. Can't hear the guitar? Turn it up. This idea was baffling for Kevin to understand. We were at a big conference for schools and educational places. We of course highlighted our sound engineering, music department and game development classes. So we were doing a few live songs to gather a crowd around our booth. Kevin had a few songs and my producer was doing the sound. Suddenly Kevin decided to cup the mic. Which is when you hold your fingers around the grill part of the microphone. This is the worst thing you can ever do to a sound engineer. Rappers are notoriously hated for this on a global scale. The reason that sound engineers hates this is because it will create feedback from the monitors and make the very annoying high-pitched sound that will make your ears bleed. So my producer kept adjusting the EQ and tried to turn the sound level on his microphone down. This did not sit well with Kevin. Every time the sound was lowered, Kevin sang higher. In the end my producer had to simply turn off Kevin's microphone. Kevin was furious. Yelled at everyone in sight. Walked up to my producer and asked, "WTF is your problem? Why did you do that?" Kevin was not happy when he was told your voice annoyed the microphone, speakers, and everyone around you. Kevin didn't talk to us the rest of the day. Now, a year after this we were all pretty much done with Kevin's moronic way of life. We were at this small festival where our school got to play some songs. The band before us started 15 minutes late. Every one of us just thought it was no big deal. Then there was Kevin with the big brain comment. The band on stage, which was another school, just finished a song. The front singer was just about to say something when Kevin yelled, "When are you going off stage so we can play?" At this time I had enough. So I smacked him in the back of the head and started yelling at him, "STFU you retard. Those are 13-year-old kids, it's not their fault." He turned around and said, "My girlfriend is right there man, I was just kidding." I just told him I didn't give a F and that he should keep his mouth shut. 2 years after this, we were both done with the school. I started working, he was. Well, he wasn't doing anything with his life. He couldn't find a job because he expected a month's pay for 2 days of work, and working 8-hour shifts are hard. He showed up to job interviews in sweatpants, long greasy hair he never combed, and he rarely showered either. Yet he didn't understand why he couldn't find a job. Then COVID happened and concerts weren't a thing at that point. So I started working in a vape shop to keep a steady income. Kevin vaped as well, so I sold him some liquid for wholesale price so he saved money instead of getting ripped off. Because of this, Kevin thought I was taking advantage of him and called me every name in the book. I got kinda annoyed by that and told him, "Whatever dude, you saved more than half off of everything because of me." So by me saying that, Kevin called me a racist. Kevin was a German immigrant, and told me I hated Germans. So I blocked him and haven't talked to Kevin since. I'm sorry this dragged on, but these but a few of the stories of my Kevin. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings of Kevin. This is an update to my first Kevin story on here. I really do apologize for making this so long, but I tried to slim it down as much as possible. First story, now for the update. An update on my last Kevin post. I have posted about my Kevin before and he is equally as stupid as before. Grab your popcorn, this is gonna be a long one. So, last year I split up with my at the time fiancé, had nowhere to go or to live. Kevin and I had started to get into contact again and offered me to move in with him, until I could get myself back on my feet. I was very thankful for this, as I would otherwise end up homeless. I started to live with Kevin and it didn't take long for the oddities to begin. Whenever I would buy myself snacks from the local supermarket, I would find the wrappings laying on the kitchen counter with him denying to ever touch my stuff. I told him he could take it since he let me live with him, but at least let me know so I could buy more if needed. Yet he kept denying it. Through Kevin I met my current girlfriend. She started basically living with us. Something we all enjoyed fully. One night, my girlfriend decided to have a girls' night out with one of her girlfriends and get a few drinks. Meanwhile I was staying at home with Kevin playing some video games. My girlfriend then asked me if we wanted to join them for some beers. We OFC said yes to this and started getting ready. When I came out of the shower, Kevin was in his bedroom to find some clothes. I could hear a female moaning from his bedroom and thought to myself, that's odd, and opened the door to ask what was going on. While he was finding clothes, he decided to watch porn on his phone. I asked him, what's going on? He jumped up from the bed, trying to stop the video, and said nothing was going on. I started laughing hard and said, bro, watching porn is normal, but maybe try and hide it better next time anyway. I was getting my expensive perfume and getting all nice, cause I wanted to make a good impression, since this was the first time meeting a friend of my girlfriend. I told Kevin that first impressions matter. Kevin is an odd one and decided to grab 5 different deodorants and put them on all at once. I looked at him baffled and said, that's not how you do that, to which Kevin replied, yes, because the more you put on, the better you smell, to which I replied, dude, you put on 5 different fucking scents, it's not gonna work how you think it is. Before we left, Kevin got a phone call from a mutual friend of ours. Kevin started talking about how he was gonna get so much sex tonight cause there was gonna be a girl there. I had to politely tell him, yeah, don't count on it, to which he got upset. Kevin is a big guy, out of touch with any manners, hygiene or social awareness. Finally we show up to the bar, I introduce myself and decide to buy the next round. Meanwhile Kevin is trying to slide across the floor to follow me, knocking over chairs and generally seems way too hyped up. I told him to behave and calm down and to stop knocking shit over. We get back to the table and my girlfriend, her friend and me starts to talk about any and everything. Kevin sat quietly and got more and more annoyed as the night went on. He had only said 2 things to this woman the entire night and didn't understand why he wasn't making any progress in regards to getting with my girlfriend's friend. After some hours the girl decided to go home, so me, Kevin and my girlfriend decided to head back to our place as well. When we got home, he complained about how he didn't understand why she wasn't in love with him or wanted to come home with us. I tried telling him that 1, he didn't talk to her all night and just sat and stared at her all night while looking annoyed, and 2, she had a boyfriend, he would have known that if he listened to anything being said. Fast forward to movie night. Me, my girlfriend and Kevin was watching a movie called The Meg. Spoiler alert, it's about a prehistoric huge shark. While we were watching it, Kevin said I bet it's CGI and not an actual megalodon. I responded given how they've been dead for a few million years, I think you're right. It never crossed his mind that an extinct animal was made via CGI. This wasn't the only movie or series that Kevin couldn't understand. In general, he didn't understand that CGI is a huge part of movies today. We were watching Fast X and a scene where somebody is jumping from one car to the other. Kevin said I bet it's camera tricks, no way would they do that in real life. I again had to explain how it's CGI and the cars in the scene is standing still in real life, everything else is made in post-production. They aren't actually risking lives by doing that. He looked at me baffled and said, are you sure? And I responded, yes dude, I'm sure, to which I was asked, how do you know? And my final reply was because they aren't risking people's lives in cars moving 120 miles an hour, making people jump out of one window through the other, while the cars are spinning around. It's common fucking logic whenever he sees movies. He thinks that what he sees is what they are actually doing, scene for scene. Except for someone getting killed, he gets why nobody wants to get killed in real life. A little while later, he was accused of raping somebody, which I know for a fact wasn't true. The police told him to come to the station to ask some questions, check his phone, etc. While the police was going through his phone, he was held up in a holding cell. When they released him, he came home and said that he experienced police brutality. His human rights were stripped from him. I asked him what had happened and he said they took my rights away, held me in a cell, took my phone and wouldn't let me leave. My response was, okay, I get why that sucks, but that basic police procedure. They have to see what you say, how you react, check your phone for any evidence. That's not police brutality. Kevin then got angry and said, but I'm innocent. I then said, right, but how could they possibly know that without checking up on it? They need to find any form of clue or evidence to see what's true and what's not. Kevin then said, but they should know that I am innocent. I then get annoyed at him and growled and said, how the hell are they supposed to just know that? They have to look at and find evidence before they can reach a conclusion. That not police brutality at all. But they should know I'm innocent. Was the only thing he kept repeating after that. He was cleared of the charges luckily, but we knew he didn't do it. To this day he still thinks what the police did was illegal. Anyway, a while after that, my girlfriend and me moved into our own apartment. After a while, Kevin kept starting to ask us for money. Kevin had a habit of blowing his entire paycheck in 4 days and had to rely on everybody else. How, you may ask? He met a girl through TikTok and fell in love with her, and I mean really fell in love with her. She made it clear to him that she wasn't interested, but he still thought he had a chance. He put his flirting skills to work and started buying her gifts on TikTok. Those gifts are sort of animations that shows up for a few seconds and then, that's it I guess. I don't know. I don't use TikTok. He spent several $100s if not above $1,000 on these weird animations for her, cause he thought that would make her fall in love with him. He spent all his money traveling half the country to see her, then he didn't have any money to return either, so he was begging everybody for money so he could go home. He finally broke contact with her after 6 months and an insane amount of money spent. He also fell in love with someone else. My girlfriend had another friend, she introduced Kevin to said girl. Let's call this girl Emma. Emma and him started talking, and Emma thought it was a simple friendship, but Kevin fell in love after an hour. The day after Kevin started talking to her, me and Kevin were playing video games together. He kept being distracted by the phone and we kept losing because he couldn't stop looking at their conversation on Messenger. It got so bad that right after he sent her a message, he kept whispering respond, 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 respond over and over again. Let me make it perfectly clear. Kevin had just sent the message, she literally didn't get half a second to respond, let alone read his message. She quickly got tired of him and she said she just wanted some alone time and wouldn't be on her phone for the rest of the day. This didn't sit well with Kevin. The following messages read like this: Kevin, do you want to talk tonight then? Emma, but it already is tonight? Kevin, yes, but then we could say we just talked until a specific time? Emma, I just want some alone time. Kevin didn't understand what he did wrong, he still doesn't to this day. Kevin has been single for years and the slightest form of contact with a woman, he takes as flirting. I got way more to tell about Kevin, but this has already gotten too long. I apologize for the long read. Now on to second story. Called out my sister-in-law's lies at my Christmas party, and now my brother's marriage is hanging by a thread. I, 26F, hosted a big Christmas party at my house last weekend, and what was supposed to be a fun evening spent celebrating as a family turned into a bit of a shit show, all because of my sister-in-law Hannah, 31F. Now, for some context, my wife Jess, 28F, and I got married this past September. We wanted to keep the wedding small and intimate, so the decision was made that the wedding would essentially be child-free, with an exception for my half-sister, 16F, since she's an older kid and I had asked her to be one of my bridesmaids. Back when my brother Alex, 30M, and his wife Hannah had RSVP'd for the wedding, I made sure to call and remind them that, sadly, their baby couldn't come with them because it's child-free. I also want to mention here that I had told them about this back when we went to visit my brother and his family in the summer. Anyway, while on the phone, they said they hadn't forgotten and they had already planned for Hannah's mom to babysit. However, when the day of the wedding came, Alex and Hannah showed up with, you guessed it, my then 8-month-old nephew. I'll be honest and admit that I'm kind of a pushover, and I didn't want to make a scene on my wife and I's special day, so I regrettably let it go. We got about 2 minutes into the ceremony before extremely loud screaming and crying from my nephew began. The worst part was that they tried to ignore it at first, for about another 2 minutes, before Hannah finally excused herself and him. Unfortunately, she couldn't go into another room because we were on a beach. At first she just tried to walk further down the beach, but the crying could still be heard loud and clear. So she eventually walked back to their car and later decided that her and my nephew would go home and not stay for the reception, and only my brother Alex would stay. Fast forward to the Christmas party. Everything was perfect until Alex, Hannah, and nephew show up, after she had reached out a month prior to tell me they wouldn't be coming at all and would be spending time with her family. I was annoyed and decided to pull them aside when I went to greet them and asked why they didn't tell me they were coming, because I honestly didn't make enough food to feed 2 more people for dinner, not to mention I had nothing for their son. Alex gave me a confused look and asked why I thought they weren't coming, and when I told him the reason why, all hell broke loose. Alex obviously questioned Hannah as to why she would do this, and her response was to immediately, and loudly, accused me of lying and of hating my nephew. Obviously this got the attention of the room and everyone stopped and turned to look at us like something out of a movie. He then asked why she would think I hate their son, especially considering I agreed to change the policy to allow him to come to the wedding. Which, as you already know, I did not do. I quickly told Alex that wasn't true and explained myself and my reasoning behind my choice, that it wasn't personal, and that I of course love my nephew. I reminded them that I was super cool about the crying and never said anything, even when I probably should have. Jess started to walk over to us from the kitchen, most likely to try and defuse the situation, bless her heart, all while Hannah doubled down and tried to make it seem like I was lying, so I lost it and said, well, if I'm a liar who hates your kid, then I guess you should probably get the fuck out of my house. Jess stopped dead in her tracks and the silence that came after was eerie. Hannah then started crying, and quickly left with my nephew and slammed the front door behind her. My brother turned and gave me a sad look before following behind her. It didn't take long before I started to feel embarrassed that I let things escalate like that. Jess comforted me after they left and we ended the party early because I don't even know how to properly process what just happened. Later, my brother texted me, saying he didn't know who to believe. Apparently, Hannah is adamant that I allowed her to bring their son to the wedding last minute because I felt bad for trying to control what she gets to do with her baby. She's also saying I made the Christmas party thing up as well, claiming I've always had a vendetta against her and want to make her look bad. Alex says he just needs time and that he's heartbroken and worried that Hannah isn't who he thought she was. Other family members have been texting me, saying they're on my side, but I do kind of feel like an asshole for how I handled everything at the party. I know Hannah is trying to drag my name through the mud, but I feel guilty for making her cry, intentionally trying to publicly humiliate her, and for ruining the vibe of my own party. So, Ida for causing a rift in my brother's marriage by calling out my sister-in-law for lying in front of everyone at my Christmas party? If he stays with her, moving forward make sure everything related to events and planning is in writing, through your brother only, or on a group chat. And don't accept phone calls from her. It's nice that you feel compassionate toward your sil, especially for your brother's sake. But you didn't create this problem and if you didn't call her out on her lies and manipulation, she would just do it more. You can't really keep the peace in a family situation like this. Trying to keep the peace is like trying to hold down the lid on a pot that's trying to boil over. You can hold that lid all you want but the pressure is going to keep building until it explodes unless you do something about the actual source of the problem. And there's no way you could have handled this where no one would get upset. You've probably chosen the path that would lead the lowest total amount of upset over time, even if it meant an uncomfortable amount of upset right now. Update 1. I originally intended to look more in depth at the comments and reply to some/answer questions, but I've too stressed and too preoccupied because so much has happened in a short time. I now have a lot of new information to share that has changed everything. My brother is now going to be staying with my wife and I for the time being. We decided this when he unexpectedly arrived late last night, and we had a long talk where I learned the full scope of everything that had happened with Hannah, after the party up until now. He said that after taking some time and space away from her, he asked her to have a sit-down talk. He explained to me that during this time he realized she was 100% lying and I was 100% telling the truth, but still wanted to try and give her a chance to fully explain why she would act the way she did, why she would lie, and how she could justify treating him and I this way. Hannah tried to deflect and gaslight him when first confronted, but when he made it clear he wasn't having it, she snapped. And admitted to him that she's always disliked me, and the main reason why is because she's uncomfortable with my lifestyle. She went on to say that Jess makes her the most uncomfortable due to her appearance and what she wears. My wife is extremely masculine presenting, and that she's just so sick and tired of pretending none of this upsets her. There was more, but Alex said that was all he was going to tell me. All of that was of course her reasoning for lying to my brother by telling him that I allowed the baby to attend the wedding last minute, and that she had secretly hoped her baby would fuss or cry and ruin part of the ceremony, which obviously happened. She explained that she wanted to do something similar for the Christmas party in order to make me look unhinged and like I didn't want them there, making the wedding incident seem like a completely different situation to the family, one where she is the martyr and I the aggressor. I always knew she didn't like me, but fuck, I didn't realize she was so homophobic that the mere fact Jess and I exist at all is detrimental to her. I decided that I'll never tell my wife the details Alex told me, but I'm honestly glad I know all of this now. I'll never feel guilty for calling out shitty behavior from people ever again. Alex assured me that he was extremely disgusted with her and what she said, and had absolutely no idea she felt this way at all. But, he then told me he wasn't actually done telling me everything she confessed. Here's where shit really hits the fan. Hannah, after going on her homophobic rant, started to get antsy and pace around the room, leaving my brother just sitting there, devastated and confused. After a few minutes of said pacing, she continued to confess to my brother, now explaining that not only is she having an affair, she is also 100% certain he's not the biological father of their child they've been raising together these past 11 months. What made things even worse was, after some prying, she eventually let it slip that the affair has been going on for 6 fucking years. She claimed it was love at first sight when she first met her college friend's older brother Josh, 42M, at a party 6 years ago, but she also knew she never wanted to lose my brother as he was her perfect match, which obviously makes zero sense all things considered. Also, for some added context, they've been married for around 6 years, meaning she has been having an entire secret, serious relationship with another man for the entirety of her marriage to my brother. Safe to say I am completely shocked, and all I've been doing is spending time with Jess and also Alex. He has been staying with us as I mentioned above, since things are extremely tense and hostile between him and Hannah. They are obviously going to be getting a divorce, but with Christmas literally around the corner, everything is on pause according to him. I respect this, but also cannot wait for her to officially no longer be in our lives. As for Hannah, she seems to have quite literally moved on overnight with Josh and their baby. Overall, I cannot believe she'd betray my brother like that, and I'm sad to know she's been so hateful towards me because of my sexuality. I don't know if I'll have another update, but maybe? I just feel so depleted after yesterday. I hope your brother can make a clean split and the baby isn't his. I'm sorry your brother is hurting, and I'm proud of you for calling her BS out.